I cannot express how excited I am about Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's really hard to put into words exactly what Ghostbusters means to me. Like many kids that grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, Ghostbusters was just part of me. And it still is. Between movies, video games, comic books, the animated series, the toys, Ghostbusters was just unavoidable in my generation. And a part 3 of Ghostbusters has been in the works forever, it seems like. There's just been constant trouble along the way trying to get the movie done, to the point where we just ended up with this. A reboot that slaps the original movies in the face and acted like the other two never happened. None of that natural comedy was in there that Ghostbusters is known for. The banter, it didn't have that Ghostbusters feel. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because it's beating a dead horse at this point, but here's what really went wrong with this movie, and it's got nothing to do with gender. They essentially recreated the original movie with new actors and none of the charm. I really would have been much more accepting of this movie if it was a passing of the torch kind of story. Maybe the original Ghostbusters retired because they're old and they're not going to be doing this job forever, and then they passed the torch to this new team of Ghostbusters. Maybe the Ghostbusters business became a franchise and they opened different branches around the country, and this team just happened to be a different branch located somewhere else. There were so many ways they could have made this movie without resorting to destroying the legacy that Ghostbusters 1 and 2 built. By some miracle, Ghostbusters license survived, and now we're getting the Ghostbusters 3 movie. We got a trailer the other day. I watched it. I liked it. I have a lot of questions. So far from the trailer, it seems like they are paying respect to the original universe while moving it forward at the same time, and I'm going to get the feels watching this movie for sure. In real life, Harold Ramis, who played Egon, passed away, and in the movie world, the character of Egon passed away too. At some point, he had a daughter, and she inherits an old ranch from him, and she moves there with Egon's 2 grandchildren. They discover his ghostbusting equipment, find Ecto-1, and they take it for a joyride.
It has a gunner seat?
And the little girl looks like a miniature version of Egon. I love it. And the kid from Stranger Things is also in it. The second they put on that Ghostbuster suit in Stranger Things, one of these kids was guaranteed a spot in this movie. We don't get too many details on the actual plot of the movie from the trailer, but there are some clues that we can pick up on. There's a mine near the ranch that has a sign that says Shandor Mining. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, the name Shandor immediately means something to you. It's a name associated with a cult that worshipped Gozer, so anything they're involved in usually means a ton of ghost activity is to follow. In the Ghostbusters video game, the founder of the cult, Ivo Shandor, is the main villain, so that mine is going to play a huge role in the story, and it's probably why Egon moved to a ranch near it. And Paul Rudd is in the movie, which is perfect casting, by the way. I think his style of humor works great for something Ghostbusters related. If you watch the Ant-Man movies, I can see that personality fitting perfectly in Ghostbusters. He seems to be the teacher of Egon's grandchild, and she brings in a ghost trap for show and tell, I assume, and he seems to know way too much about the Ghostbusters. In my headcanon, I envision the Ghostbusters continuing their business well after Ghostbusters 2, and always going on these crazy adventures, so it kind of sucks to hear that they shut down. As far as this movie's concerned, they closed up shop after the events of Ghostbusters 2, assumingly due to a lack of business. I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters, the video game. The original continuation of the movie series, the original Ghostbusters 3. And I kind of wish they had just followed through with what that universe was building, but I understand, from a creative point of view, when you're creating a movie sequel, you don't want to be chained necessarily to what a video game adaptation did. In the game, they continued ghostbusting, and they even hired a new recruit. Now, I want to focus on that recruit for a minute, because it seems that the movie is pulling ideas from this character. I want to stress that it's definitely not the same character, because the name is completely different, but he made it into the comic book series, and he opened up his own Ghostbusters branch in Chicago, I believe it was. He was named, had his own personality and everything. And take this with a grain of salt, because I found it on Wikipedia, and that's not exactly the best source of information, I understand that. But if this piece of info is accurate, this is going to be cool. It states, the kids in the film seek the help of their teacher, Mr. Gooberson, who was a young recruit of the original Ghostbusters team in the early 90s before it closed, and he tracks down the old team. I hope that's accurate because that sounds like a great idea and it's a good way. I hope that's accurate because it sounds like a great way to connect the old Ghostbusters universe with the new Ghostbusters universe. And you've got that middleman that was associated with them in the past, just like the game had. You had a rookie character that was associated with them in the early 90s. Is Paul Rudd's character going to lead a new generation of Ghostbusters with the blessing of the old team? This is how you revive a franchise and set it up for a new generation while still respecting the ones that came before, instead of just throwing them aside and acting like they never happened. I want to see throwbacks in there too. Slimer better be in this movie. I want him to end up being a pet like in the Ghostbusters cartoon. I love that. And it looks like the terror dogs from the original are back in, or at least I hope they are, because the trailer sure makes it seem like a big dog-like monster is on top of the car. So those are my thoughts so far on Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I want to hear yours. Start the conversation down below. Are you excited about this movie? What are your thoughts on the trailer? What do you want to see after this movie? Assuming it does well, where do you want the Ghostbusters series to go? I'll catch you guys later. Since you made it to the end of this video, I assume you enjoyed it, so why don't you go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any new content. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, links in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can join my Patreon or become a channel member. This is Fabian, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.